Thanks for being with us here for this Thursday, Jimmy.
My pleasure, Cy Kellett, host of Catholic Answers Live.
We got a lot of work to do this hour.
We do,
Jimmy.
yes.
This is day three and the final day of our pledge drive. These pledge drives we do once every 3 months, and they fund us for the next 3 months. And as we've had to make clear several times over the last couple of days, it's been a tough one. It's been a bit slow, and so I just want to let people know where we are and what we've got going on today. If you would like to call while I'm talking, go ahead and pick up the phone and call, because there's, of course, nobody on the line yet. It's all open. 888-291-8000 is the number. 888-291-8000 to call and make your pledge. Here's the situation. We know it takes about $225,000 to fund all that we want to do for the next 3 months, with the radio program, with the podcasting, with the other digital media, and whatever else we can accomplish in the next 3 months. Costs about $225,000. So that's what we have to raise in 3 days. And we are below $125,000 right now. As a matter of fact, I think we're at just about $122,000. So we got more than $100,000 to raise in one day, something that we have never done before. So it'll be interesting to see if we can. With your help, we certainly can, but we'll just have to see where folks are. And we've got a $20,000 dollar for dollar match this hour. So we start off with a great match, a great opportunity to make up some ground this first hour. Any pledge you make, whether it's a one-time pledge or a monthly recurring pledge, whether it's a large pledge, a medium pledge, small pledge, all matched up to $20,000 this hour. Our first caller has come in. There are 13 more lines open. 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
And I want to mention, Cy Kellett, in our first hour of this pledge drive, and of course we always try to minimize the amount of fundraising we need to do. We confine it to just 6 hours every 4 months. We do 2 hours of show for 3 days of a week, and we don't even take all of the hour to fundraise. We still continue to take questions and so forth. But I happen to be the guest in the first hour this week, and I mentioned I wanted to plant a seed for people who may be able to help us out with larger gifts, because we do need to hear from people who are able to make $1,000 gifts or $2,500 gifts or $5,000 or even $10,000 gifts. And we especially are going to need to hear from such folks today. Like you mentioned, we're only about half of the way towards our overall goal. We need to raise about $100,000 today, and that's something we haven't that would be a nice precedent to set. But it is something that we will need to hear from people who are able to make large donations from. And on Monday, I said, I understand for people who have those resources, it can take a while. They need to think about what they can afford. They may need to check with a spouse and things like that. So I mentioned it on Monday to get the ball rolling and let people be thinking about it. Well, today is the day that we need to hear from you. So you've had a chance to think about it. You've had a chance to check with your spouse. Please do let us hear from you today. This is really when we need to hear from you. The number to call is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. You can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate safely and securely online. And one of the benefits of being able to make a larger donation like that is you would be enrolled in one of our giving societies. We currently have 2 giving societies. The first one, for donations of $1,000 or more, is known as the President's Club. It has a bunch of benefits, including you get a free copy of everything we produce during the year, whether it's a book, a DVD, a CD, all the different kinds of media we produce. You are entitled to a free copy of it. There's also a higher level giving club known as the Founders Circle for donations of $5,000 or more, and it has even more benefits than the President's Club does. And one of the really nice things, this didn't used to be the case, but I spoke up in a meeting and advocated this, and the development department said, that makes a lot of sense. Why don't we do that? Is people shouldn't have to be able to make the donation for these giving societies all at once. You can make a monthly pledge, which brings down the gift by a factor of 12. And so if you're able to donate, I was doing the math before the show just to refresh my memory, $84 a month If you can afford $84 a month as a recurring pledge, that will entitle you to membership in the President's Circle. And if you're able to donate $417 a month, that would entitle you to membership in the Founder's Circle. So please, you can make it on the monthly installment plan, but we do need to be hearing from such people, as well as people who are able to give at every level, no matter how big or small. Small gifts are great, middling gifts are great, large gifts are great. Whatever you can afford, it would be most welcome, and it will help keep the work of Catholic Answers Live and Catholic Answers in general spreading the gospel here on the airwaves and on the internet and bringing the truth of Christ into people's homes. So please give us a call, 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000.
We're going to go back to the other phones now, the phones where people ask questions, because we got to keep Jimmy doing his work, and we like to do our work. We love to talk about the Catholic faith. One thing I have not mentioned is thanks to all the Canadians who have supported us. I noticed today Manitoba is represented, British Columbia represented, a whole bunch of calls from Ontario in Canada, and our first call today from Florin in Ontario. Thank you very, very much for helping us out, Canadians, and we do appreciate it. Again, the number 888-291-8000. Now we go to Noah in Wheaton, Illinois, watching on YouTube. Noah, go ahead with your question for Jimmy Akin.
Hi, thanks so much for having me on. So I came across the term panentheism recently. That was the first time I'd ever heard it in one of your guys' 20 Answers books. My question was, what's the difference between pantheism and panentheism? They seemed, I gathered they were similar, but distinct somehow. And then also, how is pantheism distinct from the Catholic belief that I've heard from St. Thomas Aquinas that God is in everything, or God is omnipresent? I'm just confused as to how you would distinguish those ideologically there.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's start with the two terms you mentioned, pantheism and panentheism. The basic meaning of the terms, for once, is communicated by the word parts, just the parts of the words. Theism comes from the Greek word theos, which means God or a god, and pan is a Greek word that means all, and so pantheism is the idea that all is God, that everything you see around us is God. So the entire physical universe is God. And this is a view that unfortunately is heretical. It recognizes God's attribute of immanence, that he's close to the world, he's present in the world, and pantheism holds that he's so close he actually is the world. But it fails to understand God's attribute of transcendence, that God is not the same thing as the world, he transcends the world. Panentheism, on the other hand, is similar, as the name would suggest, but it's got a little extra word part in there. After the pan, it has an N. And even though the N is spelled a little differently than it is in English, it means the same thing as the English word in, like the cat is in the box. Same basic word in, and then you've got theism again. So panentheism would mean that God is in everything. And the idea here is that God is in everything in the world, but God also goes beyond simply what's in the world. And this is a little more congenial to the Christian faith. You will find language, not just in St. Thomas Aquinas talking about God's omnipotence, but you'll find language in St. Paul talking about how everything was created through Christ and in Christ, and language about us being in God. And that is another way of expressing the idea that God is everywhere. But panentheism can also end up being heretical if it fails to recognize that God is not just in the world, but is actually distinct from the world. If you have a panentheist and the panentheist is saying, yeah, God may go beyond the world, but the material world is still divine, is still part of God. Well, that's a mistake, because the material world is not part of God. It's created, and therefore it's distinct from God. And even though he may fill it with his power and his glory and his wisdom, and he may be present in those senses everywhere, he's still not the same thing as the material world. The material world is created and is not part of the creator. So I hope that helps you out.
Thanks, Noah. Thanks very much for the call. We are in the last hours now, the last 2 hours of our November pledge drive to keep us funded for the next 3 months. Our overall goal to raise for 3 days is $225,000. We are a long way from that. We're also a long way from reaching our hourly goal. The phone's not ringing off the hook right now. 6 folks on the line right now. 15 of our colleagues standing by to take your call. 888-291-8000 is the number. So take advantage, please, of that $20,000 dollar for dollar match this hour, and also help us in our time of need. We've never come to the last day of the pledge drive that I can recall being quite this far from being fully funded. Now, being fully funded has gone up a little bit over the years, but we've got a long way to go, and we need your help. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000.
And I can see right now, Psychelet, we have 9 lines open. We have 6 people who are currently taking calls among the Catholic Answers employees, but we also have 9 lines open. They're waiting just to hear from you. They're sitting by, and you won't have a wait time. You'll get right through, and it only takes a few moments to be able to make your donation. So please do call 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. You can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And Psychelet, I know that we have some thank you gifts that we'd like to send people when they are able to support us. Could you tell us about those, please?
I'd be happy to, Jimmy, and they're wonderful. I mean, we're very happy to have at the $10 level, you just become a member of the Society 315, which is a great giving society we have, which comes with all kinds of benefits, like joining us via video when we bring in a great retreat master, and also all kinds of talks and various kind of behind the scenes things throughout the years to keep us connected with Society 315. You get the t-shirt, you get the bumper sticker that's not a sticker, it's a magnet, so it's extra cool. All of that for a $10 a month pledge at the and it's doubled because we have a $20,000 dollar for dollar match right now. At the $20 a month level, 2 fine books that we can add to that. First of all, the brand new book from Joe Heschmeyer, The Early Church Was the Catholic Church, The Catholic Witness of the Fathers in Christianity's First 2 Centuries, and the brand new book from John Martinoni, Blue Collar Apologetics, How to Explain and Defend Catholic Teaching Using Common Sense, Simple Logic, and the Bible. Both of those yours in addition to becoming a member of Society 315 if you can make a pledge of $20 a month or more. Maybe you could do $45 a month. If you can, we'll add into that stack of things I just mentioned a course in our Catholic Answers School of Apologetics. And when I say course, like physically, you will get this course in your hand. You'll get the DVDs of it. You can watch the various videos, a magnificent video presentation, World Religions, a snapshot with the workbook, the guidebook that goes along with it, all by Joe Heschmeyer. That's at the $45 a month level. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. Right now, 12 lines open, 5 folks on the line, 12 waiting for someone to call, our colleagues on the phone. And Jimmy mentioned earlier that there are 2 high-level giving societies, one of them the President's Club, and that's at $84 a month, or a one-time gift of $1,000. And the other one, Founders Circle. And if you want to know about the benefits of those 2, you can just pick up the phone and call 888-291-8000, and they'll walk you through them. Or you can check out our website at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Lots of great gifts that we can give. We do need your support. We're really struggling. 888-291-8000.
Hey, Psychelet, can you tell me that phone number again, but this time do it slowly?
I forgot my quarters. I was going to bring because Jimmy was going to do this thing where I had to put a quarter in the basket every time I said it too fast. I get hyped up. Here's the number. 888-291-8000. Give us a call now. Help us reach that goal. It's a long way to go, but we can get there with your help, whether it's a $10 donation or a $1,000 donation, maybe even more. 888-291-8000.
And we're making a little bit of progress towards that goal. We want to say thank you to Carl in Ohio for a $500 donation. Also, Glinda in Texas for a $1,000 donation. But we need to hear from a lot more people with gifts of all sizes. So once again, the number to call, 888. See how easy that is? They're just three separate
Just
numbers.
rolls off the tongue.
888-291-8000.
I'm going to go back to the phones and let Jimmy answer some more questions. One thing I have noticed, Texas really coming through for us. So I just want to acknowledge Texas. We do appreciate the support from all over, but I see a lot of TX on my screen right now. Let's see. We're going now to Hassan in Washington, watching on Facebook Live. Hassan, we're so happy to have you. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question about the deity of Christ. I have a Muslim background, and one of the verses that comes up a lot is 1 Corinthians 15, verses 24 to 28 or something like that, when it talks about, in the end, everything would be submitted to God, and even Christ would submit himself to God, to the Father, so that God may be all in all. So what does that mean?
Okay. One of the things that that we need to be aware of, and we talked a little bit about this on Monday's first hour show, so you might want to go back and listen to that for a little bit more information. But in the Old Testament period, God revealed himself to the children of Israel, and he was often just referred to as God. And there were some hints that there was more than one person in the Godhead, but that was not yet clearly revealed. And so when Jesus came, he revealed that he and the Holy Spirit are also divine persons. But because the Israelites had been used to thinking of God as the Father of Israel, there are passages like "Out of Egypt I called my son," where God depicts himself as Israel's father. It was natural for them to think of the term God as simply another term for who we would call God the Father. And then after Jesus revealed that he is a divine person and the Holy Spirit is also a divine person, in the Christian age, that language got expanded. So now the term God doesn't just refer to God the Father, it also refers to God the Son and God the Holy Spirit. But in the time the New Testament was written, the term God was usually, not always, but usually used to refer specifically to God the Father, although it is sometimes used to refer to the Holy Spirit and to Christ as well. In 1 Corinthians 15, we have a passage where St. Paul is talking about the end of the world and how God's kingdom will continue to expand until the end of the world, and then at the end of the world, after all of Christ's enemies, including death, have been conquered, then Christ will hand the kingdom over to the Father in a certain sense, and even though he continues to reign as well. They reign together, just like the saints are said in the New Testament to reign with God and with Christ through all eternity. So Christ does continue to reign, but there is a sense in which, having conquered all of his enemies, Christ will then present his victory to the Father, and St. Paul describes that in terms of presenting the Father with his kingdom. And everything will then be in subjection to the Father, meaning everyone and everything will do the Father's will. So there won't continue to be the rebellion on earth that there is right now. Everyone on earth will be living out the Father's will fully, just as Christ does. And in that sense, Christ is also subject to the Father. He is a divine person. He shares the divine nature. But because he's perfect, he already perfectly does the will of the Father. And so there is that sense in which he's subject to the Father because he perfectly does the will of the Father. And so that's a basic sketch. The fact that this is possible is due to the fact that they are distinct persons, but they do share a divine nature. Christ, the Father, and the Holy Spirit all share a divine nature. So they're each fully God, but they're also distinct persons who have relationships with each other. And as a result, the God the Son can be in subjection to God the Father and perfectly do the will of the Father while still being equal to the Father in his nature. The same way here on earth, a son shares the nature of his father. So a human father and a human son both have human natures, so they're equal in nature, but the son may still perfectly do the will of his human father if he's a very obedient son, and yet they're both equal.
Hassan, thank you so much. I hope you'll continue to call. As you know, we're in the final hours now final hour and a half of our pledge drive. And so I got to keep going back to the folks and asking if they will support Catholic Answers. Let me just tell you where we are. We got a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match this hour. And this will give you an idea how it's going. We've got $16,000 left of that. We've got $16,000 still available in matching money. Folks have called with donations from $5 to $1,000 in the last 25 minutes or so. And we're going to need to keep that up and increase the pace of that. And I will ask, especially of those right now, because we have been a little light in this range. If you can make that $500, $1,000, maybe even $2,000 or $3,000 gift, we need your help right now if we're going to make our goal. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. 888-291-8000. A long way to go, a lot of work yet to be done, but lots of good friends out there who I'm sure are getting ready to pick the phone up and call. 888-291-8000.
And Psychelet, I can see that we have currently 14 lines open. We have 14 employees who are standing by just waiting to take your call. That's the great majority of them. There are only 3 lines that are currently taking donations, and now we have 15 that are currently waiting to take your call. So we do need to hear from you. The number is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. The hour is now about half over. We're going to be going into our bottom of the hour break soon, so that's going to be an ideal time for people to call. But as you mentioned, Psychelet, we of our $20,000 match for this hour, we have only been able to raise $4,000, and so we are about a quarter of the way to our overall hourly goal, but the hour is almost half over. So please, especially during the break that we're coming into, do pick up the call. Give us a call at 888-291-8000, or go safely and securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And that works from anywhere in the world, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So even if you're overseas and it's not easy for you to call a U.S. phone number, you can still go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Also, you can, if you're listening in the U.S. or out of the U.S. on a delayed basis by video or podcast, you can still go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and help our work continue. And that's why we need your support. That's the basic reason. Without your support, our work wouldn't continue. And so we do need to hear from you. The number to call is 888-291-8000. And the website to go to is CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
888-291-8000. Needing your help right now to use up that. Let's use up that $20,000 match without question. Let's do that this hour. $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match. Let me just tell you a few names. Connie, Dorothy, Joni, and Diane all gave just this in the last few minutes. Gave recurring gifts of $10, $25, $20. Lynn, a one-time gift of $100. Gerald, a one-time gift of $500. All those combined, that starts to get us closer and closer to the goal. So if you could, maybe you could do that $10 a month. Maybe you're one of those folks who's especially blessed, and today, you go, I could give that $500 one-time gift. I could give that $1,000 one-time gift. We've had a few folks who've stepped up with $2,000, $5,000, even a $10,000 gift during this pledge drive. Every gift helps. Every gift is important. But when you see that $10,000 or $5,000 or even $1,000 gift come in, you get a sense of, okay, we're getting a little bit closer to that goal now. It covers a lot of territory quickly, in other words. 888-291-8000. Quite a bit of work to do, but also lots and lots more folks on the line with their calls and questions for Jimmy Akin. It's open forum. And questions about the The
all
devil
kinds of
coming up.
stuff. But now is the time to call because you won't miss anything as we're going into this break. We'll be back in a few moments, but do call us 888-291-8000.
Right back with more Open Forum.
Catholic Answers Live would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in airing our daily program. Please support the stations and networks that carry us each day, ensuring that we have a platform for broadcasting the show. And please bear in mind that while we do not have to pay for airtime on our affiliate stations, neither do they contribute to the operating costs we incur. It's a great relationship, but it requires that we turn to you, our devoted listeners, for your prayers and financial support to cover our ever-growing expenses. Please call 888-291-8000 right now and help to keep Catholic Answers Live strong. That's 888-291-8000. Or you can donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. What began as a humble one-hour daily show that was carried by 4 radio stations has, with the generosity of many fantastic people like you, blossomed into a 2-hour broadcast heard on hundreds of AM and FM stations, the internet, Sirius XM Radio, Facebook, YouTube, and via podcast. We don't make that possible, you do. We simply cannot continue this media mission without your most generous gift today. Call 888-291-8000 or log on to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate now. People tell us all the time how much they depend on Catholic Answers Live to help them better learn, live, and share their faith. What they're really saying is they depend on you for that. Will you come through for them right now? It only takes a couple of minutes to make a huge difference at 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Again, 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. No matter how much you give, be assured of our gratitude and know that God will richly bless you. Phone 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It's important that you take this important step right now, today, to make sure that Catholic Answers Live is here tomorrow and for years to come. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. Right in the midst of a little bit of groovy music, also in the midst of our penultimate hour of the pledge drive this time. We come to you every 3 months. We take, as Jimmy described it so aptly earlier, we just take 3 hours, and we don't even take the whole hour when we ask you each hour. But we do ask you for your support. It does not cost an incredible amount of money. We don't need to raise millions and millions to produce this radio program and produce our podcast, but we do have to raise the money. And so it comes out to about $225,000 every 3 months we got to raise to do all the things we do all around the world in cooperation with EWTN, in cooperation with local Catholic radio stations. But that's what it costs us, $225,000. Right now, we've got a ways to go to meet that, but we're coming closer to meeting our goal for this hour. So let's focus there. $20,000 dollar for dollar match. Still a whole bunch of that, more than 10,000 of that available to be used up. And I just want to say thanks, because Jimmy and I were kind of being quite clear before we went to the break that we needed folks to pick up the phone and call. And for the first time that I remember in this pledge drive, we filled all the lines there for a few minutes. So I'm very, very grateful to that. But there are lines open now. So if you're thinking, can I get through? Yeah, there's 5 lines open right now. You can get through. 888-291-8000. Don't forget about that dollar for dollar match, whether it's a one-time pledge of $5 or a monthly pledge of $1,000. It's all matched up to $20,000 right now. 888-291-8000. All right, I think let's go back to the phones, Jimmy. Let's see who we got there. We'll go to Union City, New Jersey. Ty in Union City, New Jersey, watching on YouTube. We're glad you're there, Ty. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy Akin.
Hi. I had a question related to why Satan rejected God's power.
Okay.
And I heard on a forum that there's been some speculation that perhaps Satan was showing God's plan for salvation and that Jesus would be born as a human, and that upset him. And I want to know if you've heard anything like that in your life.
That is a theory that you'll hear out there. The idea is that when the devil learned that God was going to become incarnate as a mere human being, which is less than a worm from, the distance between a human being and God is greater, since God is infinite, than the distance between a human being and a worm. So it's a little bit like saying I, as a human being, might transform myself into a worm. And that would, some people might regard that as offensive to human dignity. And in the same way, this theory would hold that the devil found it offensive to divine dignity, to suppose that God, the infinite, all-holy creator, was going to become a lowly human being, and that led to his rebellion. There also, sometimes you'll hear speculation tied into that about there was some personal motive in it as well for the devil, because if God became incarnate as a human, well, the devil would still owe obedience and worship to Jesus in human form, and the devil didn't want to worship a human. And so he didn't want to worship anyone with a human nature, even if that person had a divine nature. And so these are ideas that have been talked about, but none of them are taught in Scripture. None of them are taught in in magisterial documents. This is purely a matter of speculation. And there are other speculations as well. But the truth is, we really don't have a clear idea, because we haven't been told. We don't have a clear idea of exactly why the devil rebelled against God. And it can be interesting to think about that and wonder about that. But all sin is irrational in one way or another. As they say, sin makes you stupid. And so we shouldn't look for, this must be the one intelligent reason that would have led the devil into sin. No, any reason that would have led the devil into sin is ultimately a stupid reason when you understand it properly. So we shouldn't try to rack our brains too much on that front, because if it were important for us to know, God would have told us.
Oh, I never thought about it that way. Any reason is a dumb reason. So you don't have to have some super intelligent reason why the devil did what he did. Jimmy Akin, just joining us in the studio here is John Sorensen, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Catholic Answers, which means he's the guy that goes around yelling at all of us to get back to work. Hi, John.
Yeah, it's fun.
But you never do it.
I'm taking phone calls today with everybody.
And how's that going? How's it going out there?
It's going pretty good. Yesterday, I took a call. So I know you guys hear a lot about how Catholic Answers helps people out, but I just had to tell everybody. Yesterday, I was taking phone calls, and I think it was in the second hour, and this guy calls up, and he wants to pledge $10, a month.
Yes.
And I'm talking to him for a little bit, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm Protestant." He's all, "I just love my Catholic brothers and sisters."
Aww.
And he listens to Catholic radio all the time. He's super appreciative of it. And I didn't even know what to say to the guy. I was kind of stunned.
Yeah.
I'm like, "God bless you, man."
I know what to say. Number one, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I did say that. Yeah.
Okay,
I lathered
good.
that on heavily.
But that's a beautiful thing to say and to do.
It was cool. I couldn't believe it. But I just, it's if you can help out there, we could really use it. I don't know exactly the numbers where we're at right now as far as the.
Well, we're about halfway there on the $20,000 match for this hour. We're not quite halfway, so we got a long ways to go.
But we're really a long ways away from the overall goal, right?
Yeah.
And we also have. Another impediment, if you will, with the way radio waves work this time of year, that fewer people will be hearing us in the second hour.
Right, because stations will power down once the sun goes down. Mm-hmm. So that means that we do get fewer listeners in the second hour. But, one thing, John, and I know that, as a matter of fact, you came in here to remind us of that earlier today. God is good, and he takes care of us. So we're going to be all right.
Oh, yeah, we're going to be fine. Like I said, we have such a dedicated staff here. God has blessed us a lot. We still need the help, but and we really appreciate everybody out there that can help. And and I'm blessed to be here. And the only reason that we're able to do this kind of work and be able to spread the gospel every day like we do is because of the generous donors that help us to make it happen. So,
you want to give the number? There's 15 lines open right now. There's 5 folks on the line, on the phone line. There's 15 lines open. That means 15 of our colleagues, like John, waiting online for your call.
888-291-8888. 8,000.
Oh, you're just trying to make me look
I was
bad.
listening. I was listening to Jimmy telling you to slow it down.
Gold star for John Sorensen.
Yeah, it's hard to get a gold star from Jimmy.
There you go. Well, anyway, God bless you guys, and thank you to everybody that's donated to us so far. And if you're thinking about it, if you're on the fence, this is a worthwhile place to donate to. We help a lot of people, myself included. I was a full-blown atheist for years. My wife introduced, we were dating at the time. She introduced me to Catholic Answers 16 years ago. 2 years after that, I applied for a job here, and I've been doing this work ever since. And so Catholic Answers really made a huge difference in my life.
John, thanks for coming in. I really do appreciate it. I mean, I think folks should know there's certain of us who are on the air here and all that. People hear our names and all that, but there are people like John who have given up everything. And John has an extraordinary career before he came here, so that they can come and work and do the work that the Lord has put on their heart to do, sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and His church. So thanks, John.
Amen, brother.
Thanks. Want to do that number again?
888-291-8000.
Oh, there's a little twang there in the middle of it.
I'm going to see that in my sleep.
All you got to do is put a little bit of space between the numbers, and it makes it much easier for people to call them. Yeah. So I wanted to tie into what John just said. Now, we do have a lot of listeners who are not Catholic, and they derive benefit from the show. That's why they listen, even if they don't agree with everything, or maybe they're open and curious. But however, wherever they're at in their own journey, they recognize that we're doing good work here on the show, which is why they continue to listen. And John mentioned that some of them, like the gentleman he spoke to yesterday, see the value in supporting the show, even though they're not Catholic, so that it can continue to provide the basic Christian information that we provide to people free of charge. We answer everybody's questions. We don't discriminate based on religion. We had a call from someone with a Muslim background earlier today, and that's great. We love to hear from atheists, from Jewish people, from Muslims, from fellow Christians of whatever stripe. We're here for everybody. We're very Catholic in our approach in that way, Catholic meaning universal. So that's something that's very important, but we know we've got other listeners out there who are not Catholic, and if you're one of those and you see the value in what we do, if you're a regular listener, then please do help us keep delivering that value, both to you and to other people. You don't have, just like you don't have to be a Catholic in order to ask a question, you don't have to be a Catholic in order to support the work we're doing here. So we invite you as well to help keep the program going. The number to call for that is 888-291-8000 if you're one of our Protestant friends or Orthodox friends or Anglican friends or Muslim friends for that matter. Whoever you are, if the program helps you out, please help us keep helping you by calling 888-291-8000. And if you are a Catholic, then you should be even more in sync with the show. And look at what happens. We have people like and not just the one that John talked to yesterday, but we have other people who are not Catholic who see so much value in the program that they donate to help keep it going forward. And so if you're a Catholic, you don't want the non-Catholics to show you up. If they see the value, then you should see the value too. So I want to use that as a challenge to our Catholic listeners. Please do give us a call and help the show keep going. If even our non-Catholic friends see the value in helping us out, then please see the value as well. We've got 14 lines open for you right now. The number to call is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000, or you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. But think about the fact that even non-Catholics are supporting this show, and think about maybe you should too.
Hey, we're about to go into a break. Perfect time to pick up that phone and call. And I'll let you know, we have 19 minutes now left in the hour, and we just crossed the halfway point of reaching our goal for this hour. So to use up that $20,000 match, we're halfway there with 19 minutes to go. So we do need your help. I will ask again, and I have to say, lots of folks coming in to help us with that $10 or $12, $5 monthly pledge. We're going to need some folks who can step up at higher levels, and I say that in all humility. We just need it. I'm just telling you what we need. We're going to need some $1,000, $500, maybe even $2,000 or $3,000 gifts. Perfect time to call. We're heading into a break. 888-291-8000.
Catholic Answers Live. You've heard that St. Paul Street Evangelization supports hundreds of teams of evangelists sharing the good news. But did you know that some of these teams are public prayer stations? Set up a sign on the sidewalk and offer prayer and encouragement to those you encounter. Everyone needs prayer. Try this new method of witnessing to Jesus. Contact St. Paul Street Evangelization to get started at streetevangelization.com. That's streetevangelization.com.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. It's open forum. Jimmy Akin is our guest. You are welcome to call if you have questions about the Catholic faith. Or we also need you to call if you're willing to support us financially. We've been asking for your support as we head into the last few minutes of this hour. We got about $10,000 to raise to meet our match for this hour. And if you've been listening over the last couple of days, you know it's been a little bit of a tough one, but those happen sometimes. Very often. There will be folks who will ride to the rescue at the last moment, and well, many of them are probably people like me who just do everything at the last moment. And if you are, well, it's the last moments now, and we need your help. 888-291-8000. I'm going to go back to the phone lines because we got to keep doing our regular job. But I'll say that number again and I'll give you all three ways to give right now. Everything matched dollar for dollar up to $20,000. You can call 888-291-8000. You can go save and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And if you're one of those texty folks, you can text the word Catholic to 24365. Just text the word Catholic to 24365 and make your pledge there. We go now to Cyrus in Virginia Beach, Virginia, watching on YouTube. Cyrus, we're glad to have you. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy.
Fun to be here. My question is, Pope Francis recently said, because the devil who is the divider, that is that the word devil means, always insinuates suspicions to divide and exclude. But I thought of Jesus in Luke 12:51. He said, "Do you think I've come to bring peace on earth? No, but rather division." I'm not trying to do a gotcha moment where it's like, oh, Pope Francis said something that contradicts Jesus. In fact, I'm pretty sure he had the context of that verse in mind. I was just curious, what degrees of division are acceptable in the eyes of God, and what division serves only the devil?
Okay, so God's top priority is love. That's why love is the first and the second greatest commandment. The first great commandment is love God. The second great commandment is love your neighbor as yourself. And so we know that that is God's top priority. And one of the effects of love is it unites people together. That's part of what love is. It's a positive relationship that unites people. But that means if someone is acting in an unloving way, then they're sowing division. And that's what the devil does. The devil has fundamentally rejected God's values, and so he has divided himself from God. He's broken the relationship of love that he originally had with God, and he seeks to break that relationship among other people and God as well. That's why he tempts human beings to do unloving things so that their relationship with God, which is based on love, will be broken. And so that's the sense in which the devil has divided people in the world. He's polluted the world with unlovingness that divides people from God and from each other and makes them selfish and unloving people. So what happens then when Jesus comes into the world to preach God's message? And Jesus comes into the world and he preaches love and he dies for love for mankind and he summons to people back to love with God and with each other. Well, okay, as that happens, people are going to reestablish links with God. They come back to God's love. They also will become more loving towards each other because they want to obey God's command to love your neighbor. And so that will help the people who respond to Jesus's message get back together. But what else is going to happen as that takes place? Well, as people are responding to Jesus's message and coming back to God and reacquiring union with God, that means they're going to lose union with people who have turned their back on God. So the people who are not loving people, the people who are selfish and intolerant and cruel, they're not going to look favorably on Christians, and they will even persecute Christians. And that, in fact, happened. Jesus warned us, if you follow me and God's message of love, some people aren't going to like it, and they're going to persecute you. And so there is a sense in which Jesus brought division, because now a lot of people who were in the devil's camp, whether they knew it or not, have come back to God, and that means they've broken with the devil. And the devil, it doesn't like that, and other people who are selfish and unloving, they're not going to like that, and so they're going to persecute Christians. And so there's a sense in which the division that Jesus brings is necessary. If you want to come back to God, it means you've got to break with the devil. And so you're essentially changing one kind of union for another and one kind of division for another. So there's a sense in which both the devil and Jesus bring disunion, but in the case of the devil's disunion, it separates us from God and from his love, whereas in Jesus's case, the disunion that he brings separates us from the devil and returns us to God's love.
And thanks very, very much, Cyrus. Appreciate the call. And call anytime. We appreciate the call, and we appreciate all those who have picked up the phone and called that other line that we have, the donation line. We're about 12 minutes away from the very top of the hour, and $7,000 to raise to meet that match. So let's see if we can do that. We do need your help. Each time that we have asked you, you've come through for us. So I will ask again. It's going slowly this hour, but steadily, and I think that's very much thanks to all those who have come in and given that monthly donation of $10 or $20 or in some cases $30, $40, $50. I saw at least one of $100 a month pledge. But again, I will ask, just because I think I need to keep asking, if you've got the ability to make a $1,000 or $2,000, maybe a $3,000 or $4,000 pledge, it would really help us right now, because just a few minutes left and $7,000 to raise this hour to meet our match. $20,000 dollar for dollar match right now. I'll give out the number again: 888-318. I beg your pardon, that's the wrong number. 888-291-8000. Pick up that phone and call. There are 16 lines open right now, just 4 folks on the line. And everyone you talk to is a colleague here in the building. Say hello to them. If you'd like to have a conversation, if you need some more information about the Giving Society, they'll be happy to give that to you. If you want to get done quickly, call up and say, I only got 2 minutes. Can we do this quickly? And they'll get you done. 888-291-8000.
And we've got 11 minutes left in this hour. We need to raise about $6,000, and that's entirely possible, especially if we have some larger donors who are able to help us out. The number to call is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. I know we're going to take another call here in a minute, but soon we're going to be going into the top of the hour break, which is several minutes long, and that will be an ideal time to call because you definitely won't miss anything. So regardless of the level that you're able to support us at, whether it's a lower level or a middle level or an upper level, be thinking right now about what you could do, and then give us a call, 888-291-8000.
That number, 888-291-8000, gets you right on the line, because there are 11 lines open right now. 9 of our colleagues are on calls, so 11 lines open. I want to thank a few people. Christoph in Winnipeg, Manitoba, who donated $10 a month, and thank you very much, all the way up there in Manitoba. And he loves Jimmy. $10 a month, loves Jimmy. Thanks, Christoph.
Thank you.
And I want to just mention Dennis from Ohio, who went from $20 a month to $45 a month. And this is what he said. He's always been in the Protestant camp, but has been wondering how to enter the Catholic one. He's on a journey and looking about how to complete it. Dennis, we're on the journey with you. If you need us, give a call. And we're very grateful that you called when we needed you. That means a lot to us. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. Oh, ways to call. Let me just check the number. We'll do another quick call, and then we'll check in with you with how we're doing before we have to end this hour. Right now, still about 6,000 to be raised, if my screen is correct. Let's do a quick call, Jimmy. Let's go to, let us see here. Elias? Oh, no, I beg, Elias, you're going to have to hang on. I'm going to Roman in San Angelo, Texas, listening on the Catholic Answers app. Roman, thank you very much for your call. Go ahead with your question pretty quickly for Jimmy, could you?
Yes, sir. Big fans. My question is, as Catholic Christians, are we encouraged or discouraged to not burn sage and meditate?
Okay, well, so sage is sometimes used, sage is used for a bunch of different purposes, including cooking, but it certainly can be used as a form of incense, and there's nothing intrinsically wrong. If you enjoy the smell of sage, there's nothing wrong with using sage or any other particular type of incense. It is used in some cultures, like some Native American cultures, but that doesn't mean it's wrong to use it. If you enjoy it, there's no problem with it. Just don't attribute any mystical significance to it, because sage, like other plants you might burn for incense, is just another one of God's creations. It's not mystically imbued with power or anything like that. So that's really a matter of personal preference. If you like incense and you like the smell of sage, well, you're welcome to use it. In terms of meditation, meditation can mean a number of different things. And some forms of meditation are consistent with the Christian faith. Others are not. Others may include elements that are contrary to the Christian faith. A good guide that you can find online for free is a document that was published a few years ago by the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. That's the doctrine office, the teaching office at the Vatican. It's on the Vatican's website, vatican.va, and it's called An Instruction on Some Aspects of Christian Meditation. And if you just Google Vatican Christian meditation, it should come up for you, and you can read that and then learn about different forms of Christian meditation and some things you would want to watch out for.
Thanks. You got that question in very quickly, and I do appreciate that. I hope we'll get to talk with you again. Coming into the last moments of this hour, and then we will be in the last hour of our pledge drive, and we still have match money for this hour to use up. So if you're thinking, I'd like to get my donation matched, well, any size donation up to $20,000 this hour gets matched, and I think we're moving slowly. We're getting there. We've got still probably 5 or 6 left, 5 or 6,000 left to raise.
Actually,
this hour.
it's under 5 now.
Oh, it's under 5.
Little more than 4,000.
Okay, great. A little more than $4,000 to raise in the next few minutes. We'll count them right up to the top of the hour, and then we'll let you know. If it's convenient for you, please go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com while we're on the break, because lots of folks will use the break as a chance to call. CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Any pledge that you make there is treated exactly like a phone call pledge as far as the matches go, as far as the gifts go, and all of that. If you're a texter and you want to text us, just text Catholic. Just text the word Catholic to 24365. 24365. But as Jimmy has been saying, the break time is the perfect time to call. Everybody will be here ready to take your call, and we're going to be away for just a few minutes. Great time to call and make your pledge. Help us hit that $20,000 match for this hour. Less than 5,000 to go. I'll let you know in a few minutes how we did. 888 291 8000. 888
Gold Star Cy Kellett.
291 8000. 8 lines open right now, and we are awaiting your call. Once again, I'll say this just real quick before we go. Again, if you are one of those folks who can make a larger donation, $1, $2, $3, maybe $5,000, if you can do it, now's the time. We are right on the edge here, and we still have a long way to go to reach our fully funded point. 888-291-8000. Right back with more Open Forum, and we'll let you know how we did. Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live on this Thursday afternoon or evening or maybe Wednesday morning where you are listening. We appreciate you being with us. It's Open Forum and Jimmy Akin here with us for this hour. The number, if you'd like to ask a question of Jimmy, 888-318-7884. You're welcome to call whether you're Catholic or not, whether you're Christian or not. If you have a question about the Catholic faith, about religion, about philosophy, about morals, your call is welcome. 888-318-7884. 7884. I think we're in the last hour now of our pledge drive. I think in the hour prior, the hour that just finished, we came as close to not making a goal while you actually make the goal as you possibly can come. Like it's just a few dollars over 20,000.
We basically made it, but wow, that was a squeaker, and that's definitely the closest I've seen it when we've made the goal. That's the closest.
Yeah. And it is Veterans Day, and thank you to all the veterans, and God bless you, and many prayers for the families and loved ones, and for the veterans themselves. We're very, very grateful, but it's also true that a lot of people have the day off, and it may be that that also is an additional obstacle. I don't know. I really don't know.
And we want to thank our currently serving men and women in the armed forces because they're playing a role that's very important in keeping our nation safe.
Amen. Amen. And we are grateful. And that military service, Thomas Aquinas puts that under the virtue of charity, being able to or being willing to sacrifice oneself for one's country and one's fellow citizens. So thank you for the many acts of charity that go into being a veteran and to serving in the military. And now I got to tell you a little bit about where we are. We got to raise $225,000 to be fully funded. We're $85,000 away from that. I don't remember ever being $85,000 away in the last hour, but it happens, and here we are. So
also, we've got a $35,000 matching challenge for this hour. So we need to get started on that. Typically, our final hour can, at least under ordinary circumstances, is often our best hour, but we do have $35,000 we need to match this hour. So please do give us a call, and especially if you're able to help us out and with a larger gift and really help us make progress towards that goal, we'd love to hear from you. And now is the time to call. 888-291-8000. Once again, 888-291-8000. As I mentioned on Monday, to those who are able to give larger amounts, I know you need to think about it. You need to check with the spouse. That's all done. It's time now. Please do give us a call. 888-291-8000, or you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And I see right now we have only one of our employees on the line and 14 other lines open just for you.
888-291-8000. I always say I don't know the folks who give these matching donations, but in this case, I do know the person who gave this matching donation, who said, hey, for the last hour of the pledge drive, I'll give you $35,000, but you got to raise $35,000. So it's an all or nothing. We've never had that before. We've never had a pledge this big for our final hour, and it turns out we're going to need to match every dollar of it to be close to being fully funded. So if you've been waiting for the last moments are here, and we are quite in need. $35,000, dollar for dollar match. Every pledge matched, dollar for dollar, this entire hour. But to get the money, we got to raise the money, and we need your help to do it. 888-291-8000. Every single line open right now. 888-291-8000. Going back to the phones, and we're going to Elias, somewhere here in California. Elias, glad you're there. Go ahead, please, with your question for Jimmy Akin.
Oh, yes. My question is about my father-in-law who actually is on the verge of death. He pretty much has Alzheimer's, cancer in the brain, and he's 80. He just turned 80 years old today, actually. He's also a veteran. But my question is, in his immediate family, they all converted to Catholicism, including my wife, but he was always kind of like hesitant to give the faith a chance. He was into horoscope, things of that nature. Long story short, my question is, yesterday, he's in hospice right now, but I was able to get a Catholic priest to come and visit, and I suggested just to give him some kind of blessing, but he went ahead and wanted to give him a baptism. And I told him, well, he does have Alzheimer's, and I think he does make some kind of facial movements when we talk to him to some extent, but nothing, he doesn't talk back, but he does seem to kind of know we're there, if you know what I mean. Maybe he's hearing what we're saying. And the thing is, the priest, I asked him, well, will this be efficacious? He goes, well, the thing is, you're coming to us asking on his part, kind of like in the baptism of a child. He goes, so the rest, we do this for him. The rest is up between him and God. But at least we've done something to try to. So I'm wondering if that's a protocol. I've never heard of that. I'm wondering if that's a protocol that you're aware of.
All right,
that can happen as far as trying to get someone baptized.
Okay. So the sacraments, including baptism, will be effective as long as a person is not putting a barrier in the way to them being effective. And that's why in the case of a babies, don't understand what's happening. They're not capable of putting a barrier in the way. And so when a baby is baptized, it's automatically effective. In the case of an adult who has lost the use of reason, the baptism would be effective depending on what the person's will was at the time they lost the use of reason, so that they can no longer make any new fully human decisions. Whatever their decision was at the time, either they're open to God or they're not open to God on some deep level. If they were fundamentally open to God at the time they made their last human decision, then the baptism would be effective. If they were fundamentally rejecting God on a deep level, then it would not be effective. And in that sense, it's something that really is between the person and God. We can't know it because we don't know what's happening in the depths of their heart. We may know what they say, but what they say doesn't always reflect the full dimensions of what a person's openness to God is. They may be open to God in ways that are deep down that aren't perceived by us, and so we have to kind of leave it in God's hands whether or not the person is actually going to receive the benefit of baptism. In terms of what typically happens in these situations, it's generally, baptism is not administered unless the person expressed some openness to it prior to losing the ability to make decisions, or even in a state like this, if they show some sign of willingness to embrace the Christian faith or to be baptized, then they could be baptized. But it's typically not done. But if it has been done in this case, I would simply pray that at the time the baptism was administered, the person was open to God on a deep level, and if that's the case, then that person will receive God's grace, and a very blessed thing will have happened. And so I'm very sorry to hear about the situation, and I would encourage our listeners to pray both for this gentleman and also for the caller and for everyone in the caller's family and for folks in similar situations, because at some point or another, everyone ends up facing end-of-life situations either in their own families or with themselves. And so it's important. And please keep folks in these situations in your prayers.
Elias, thank you so much for the call, and many condolences to you and your family. We're going to take a quick break in just a minute, but no, okay, we're not going to take a quick break. Here's a break. We need some help. We are a long way from reaching our goal. We have $35,000 match this hour. It's a all or nothing match. $35,000. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. In order to be fully funded, we need to be at $225,000. We're still a very long. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just tell you how far away we're still $85,000 away from that. Maybe a little less because there are some donations that come in offline that I don't know about. But about that, $85,000 off. Long way to go. Really need your help. 10 lines are open. That is, we have 16 of our colleagues on the line ready to take a call right now. 6 lines are full. Could we fill up those other 10 lines right now? Whether it's a $5 one-time pledge, or maybe you could do a $5,000 one-time pledge. We need them all in order to use up this $35,000 dollar-for-dollar match that we have this hour. 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. I'm not putting the urgency in my voice, but it's urgent. We are in the urgent last minutes of our pledge drive with a long way to go to be fully funded. 888-291-8000. Help us to reach that $35,000 dollar-for-dollar match that we have this hour. 888-291-8000. $35,000 on the line this hour. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Logan in Vermont, watching on YouTube. Logan, thank you so much for your call. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy.
Hello there. First off, do you remember me? I called a couple months back. I just want to know if you do or not.
Could tell me what you asked about, Logan?
Oh, yeah. I wanted to know, when the day of judgment comes, or the book of Revelation talks about.
Oh, Logan, I didn't mean to be rude to you. I meant, what did you ask about before? I was trying to remember, but you can go ahead with your question if you like. I just didn't want you to feel that I was.
I don't really remember what I asked you. I just wondered. So when the day of judgment comes, the book of. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It's okay.
You're fine. You didn't do anything wrong. I was just a little confused, and I do that because I'm doing too many things at once right now.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
When the day of judgment comes, when the day of judgment comes and the final revelation, everything what Revelation talks about, when that happens, it's kind of clear at some point where you're like, I think God is real. So could non-believers or people who do not believe, confess the Christian faith, convert upon the final judgment or the day, or during the time of Revelations, and be fully accepted in heaven, specifically even during the final judgment itself?
Okay, so this is a question that is open. If I understand what you're asking correctly, you're saying what would happen to people who are unbelievers who are still alive at the time that Jesus Christ comes back, at the time the second coming happens? Would they be able to convert upon seeing the second coming? And the answer is not one that the church has a teaching on. It's a rather subtle question, and the church often hasn't had an occasion to have a pressing need to settle questions like that. But as long as a person, there is a certain point at which everyone's life choice will become definitive, even for those who are still alive at the end of the world. But if they see oncoming signs of Jesus, and even maybe they start to see Jesus appear or something like that, and they convert even in a split second, as long as they still have the faculty of full freedom of the will, as long as they're still able to make a choice in order to accept God's grace, then God would accept that choice. And so it's a little hard. We don't really know at exactly what moment in this process people's life choices become fixed. But as long as they still have the kind of freedom that we do in this life, if they decide at any moment to accept God's grace, then God will give them that grace.
And Logan, thanks very much. Call sooner now, so I will definitely remember next time. I'm sorry that I got a little confused there, but I really, really do appreciate your call. Thank you. We are in the last 45 minutes now of our quarterly pledge drive. $35,000 dollar for dollar match this hour. About 30,000 to go with 45 minutes to go. It's a lot, and we're going to need lots of help to get there, but we'll just tell you our need and count on you, and we do need that help, though. I've noticed that several people have called in the last few minutes who made that $500 or $1,000 pledge. We're very grateful for that. We've been saying we do need more of those in order to make it, and just a whole bunch of folks with that $10 pledge, $20 pledge, $50, some of those recurring, $10, $20. It's all adding up. We'll get to that $35,000 goal working together. There are 7 lines open right now. So please pick up that phone and give a call, 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. Go.
And one of the things that we've talked about a little bit in this drive, we've talked about it some more in some other drives, is the biblical theology of giving. One of the things I alluded to, and this is a standard verse that people commonly talk about in the context of giving, is found in 2 Corinthians. It's in 2 Corinthians 8, if you want to look it up. And that was an occasion when St. Paul was doing some fundraising, and he indicated that God loves a cheerful giver. So when people are supporting God's work and they're giving, they can be cheerful about that, and they can be cheerful about the fact that God loves that you're pleasing God when you do that. He also talks about, in various passages, about how we gain rewards as a result of things that we do, including giving. If you look in Galatians chapter 6, for example, St. Paul talks about two different modes of behavior. One of them he refers to as sowing to the flesh. And in context, since he's talking about giving and supporting the work of God's teaching, sowing to the flesh means spending your money on just your own pleasures. The alternative that he presents is sowing to the Spirit. And in context, he's talking about giving. He says that everyone who's taught the Word of God should share with the giver, or share with the teacher. In other words, you should support the work of teaching so that the teacher can keep spreading God's Word. And that's what we do here on Catholic Answers Live. We teach God's Word. We spread it all over the world, literally, using technology that would have been unimaginable to St. Paul. But we're very blessed to live in an age where this technology is available to us, and Catholic Answers wants to use it to spread the gospel as best we can. So if you are one of the people who has benefited from hearing God's Word, and that should be just about everybody in the audience, then please do heed St. Paul's instruction to share with the teacher so that the work of teaching can go on. He warns that if you sow to the flesh, then ultimately from the flesh you're just going to reap corruption. But if you sow to the Spirit, if you use the financial resources you have to support the teaching of God's Word, then he says from the Spirit you will reap eternal life. It's right there in Galatians 6. You can read it for yourself if you need, but that's what he says. And so he indicates that we will receive eternal rewards as a result of the effort that we put in to supporting the work of teaching God's Word. So when you make a donation to support the teaching of God's Word here on Catholic Answers Live, that's something that pleases God, and you can look forward to a heavenly reward that you will be able to enjoy for all eternity. Please do give us a call. The number to call is 888-291-8000. We have 8 lines open for you right now. 8 Catholic Answers employees are just sitting, waiting for you to call them. The number, again, is 888-291-8000, and you can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
$35,000 on the line this hour. Thanks to everyone who has called to help. Regina, John, Diane, Pamela, Elizabeth, all folks who just called within the last few moments. And we're grateful. Gifts are coming in of all sizes, from about $5 up to $1,000 this hour. But we've got a $35,000 match is a big one, and we've got a long way to go. We're 20 minutes into the hour, 40 minutes left to go to do about $30,000 left to go to use up that entire match. If you are one of those especially gifted people who can make a large donation, I mean, one time in this pledge drive, a gentleman called and made a $10,000 gift. We're very grateful for that. We know there are not, oodles and oodles of people who can do that. But if you are one of those who can do something like that, maybe you could make a $5,000 or a $10,000 gift. Maybe you could make a $2,000 or a $1,000 gift. I'm coming to you now because we are in the last 40 minutes of our pledge drive, and we're a long way from where we need to be. We do need the help. $30,000 left in our match right now. 888-318-7884, 888-318. I beg your pardon. I'm going to just back up here a second. I get in the habit of saying that number. But
if you say it slowly, you won't get it confused.
But the proper number to give right now to make your pledge is 888-291-8000. You can go safe and secure online. It all goes to the same place at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. But 17 of our colleagues waiting for calls and just 7 of them on the line right now. 10 lines open, 888-291-8000. Let's go to Theodore in line 2. Theodore in Buffalo, New York, listening on 101.7 FM. Thank you for waiting, Theodore. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy Akin.
Hi, thank you guys for taking the time. My question involves the procedure of euthanasia and physician-assisted suicide. I'm currently taking a criminal law class in college, and we have to look at this through a legal perspective, indicating do we think we should allow it in certain states or not. And unfortunately, with this assignment, I couldn't explain why I think it should and shouldn't be allowed through legal perspectives. I could only use my moral standards on it because I just don't think it's right. And the worst part was I saw some cases where these people who had very terminal illnesses and were suffering grave pain and misery, and I felt so bad seeing that. And people think, well, these people are suffering, they shouldn't deserve to be put through that. So I completely agree that they shouldn't be doing that. But is it wrong to think that it's sad that, I think it's sad that they're going through that, but we can't allow that to happen because it's not our choice. It's God's will and plan for us.
Okay, Theodore, thanks.
If I understand the question correctly, no, it's not wrong. It is sad when people are suffering, and that is very common at the end of life, but it doesn't mean that we have the ability to take life. And so you can't kill an innocent person. You can't kill the patient to cure the disease. Now, we're very fortunate that today we live in an age where we have very effective forms of palliative care that can alleviate a person's suffering as they're going through it. We have a variety of drugs that can help the person out if they're conscious. They can blunt or even remove the suffering a person is experiencing. And today we have ways to even induce medical comas so that if a person's suffering is too great, we can eliminate it entirely. So the solution, if someone is suffering, is to do our best to heal the disease if that is possible. If it's not possible, then the solution is to do what we can to alleviate their suffering. And we have very effective ways of doing that today, including the ability to eliminate all conscious suffering by simply rendering the person unconscious. So they don't have to suffer, but we do not have the ability to take the life of an innocent person. And so it does not make sense to kill the patient to cure the disease. There are other better ways to eliminate human suffering.
Thanks very, very much for the question. There's more material at Catholic.com, as you might know, Theodore, but if you'd like to follow up on that, check out our website, Catholic.com. Jimmy Akin is our guest this hour. It's open forum, all calls welcome, and it's also the last hour of our pledge drive.
And Psych-Hellet, I wanted to mention, look at the type of calls that we've been receiving. Just in the last half hour, we took a call from a gentleman whose father is dying. We took a call from a gentleman who is being asked as part of his education to comment on assisted suicide. These are very serious life and death issues. And so we've also had questions on salvation. That's an eternal issue that goes beyond this life. So we're taking very, very serious questions here. We're helping out people in very difficult, very sensitive, and very weighty situations. So that underscores the value of the work we're trying to do and the help that we're offering people. We're very thankful to be able to be here to help these people deal with these very sensitive, very weighty issues. And if you would like us to be there when you may need that assistance, or when someone you know or love may need that assistance to be able to find answers like these, then please do help us out. Help us continue our work. The number to call is 888-291-8000. We're going to be going into another break. This is our last major break before the end of the hour, and so this is going to be an ideal time to call. You will not miss anything, but we do need to hear from you now. This is really crunch time we're getting down to now, and whatever level of support you can offer, whether it's a lower level of support, a middling level support, or a higher level of support, this is the ideal time to call. So please give us a call. The number is 888-291-8000. Once again, 888-291-8000, or you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Let's hear the phone lines light up.
Right back with more Open Forum.
Will you do us a favor right now? Clear your mind of all other thoughts and reflect for just a moment on how Catholic Answers Live has made a difference in your life. Has our broadcast made your afternoon commute more meaningful? Perhaps you've learned how to explain the faith to family or friends in a more vibrant, convincing way. Something you heard here may have been just the thing you needed to look into joining or returning to the Catholic faith. All of these are serious reasons to be thankful, first and foremost to God, but also to all who have financially made it possible for us to air the show each day. Believe me, our gratitude could not be deeper. And we're coming to you today during our quarterly membership drive, asking you to join the ranks of the great people whose gifts and sacrifices have helped to turn around countless lives over the years, and, very possibly, helped make an eternal difference for many of them. Think about that for a moment. That's what your prayers and donations to Catholic Answers Live are doing. What a tremendous opportunity is being presented to you right now. Please don't let it pass you by. Call 888-291-8000 or visit CatholicAnswersRadio.com and let one of our fast, friendly customer service team members take your pledge. Large or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you call right now. Again, it's 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We're offering some great appreciation gifts that are sure to deepen your faith life even more. But what's best is you'll have the confidence that when you turn your radio on tomorrow, or next week, or 12 days from now, we'll be here, boldly and charitably presenting the truth to a world that's searching for precisely that. Your pledge is vital to keeping Catholic Answers Live on the air. Will you make the call today to 888-291-8000 or donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com? Thank you so much in advance. God bless you.
Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live. Happy Veterans Day to you. Thank you to all the veterans, all the families, the veterans, and to those who are serving now and will be veterans one of these days. We're grateful for your service, for your sacrifice, and man, for all you go through, including moving all around and just a lot of obligations and sacrifices to serve the country, and we're grateful for it. We are in the last 30 minutes now of our last pledge drive of the year 2021. We're trying to be fully funded until 2 months into the new year, and we got a long way to go, but we're I'm going to say roughly, I haven't checked the numbers up to the minute, but roughly between $20,000 and $25,000 left on our $35,000 match for this hour. Somewhere between $20,000 and $25,000 is still available, and we still need some larger gifts if we're going to make it. It just comes down to that. We're so grateful for all the different gifts we've gotten at the different levels, but we have been light on larger gifts. Maybe you could give $500. Maybe you could give $1,000. Maybe you could give $5,000. If you can do that, we are at the very end now, and we need your help. So the number to call, if you'd like to talk with one of our colleagues who are waiting on the line, is 888-291-8000. If you'd like to it's optimized for your phone. It's optimized for your computer. So if you'd like to do it yourself online, you can do it in about 90 seconds. You can get the whole thing done. CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And if you'd like to text and make your pledge that way, just text the word Catholic to 24,365, but we do need your help. We've got more than $20,000 of a match to use up and only about 29 minutes left in the hour. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. Jimmy, shall we go back to the phones? Did you want to say anything else before we go back to the phones?
Let's go back to the phones.
All right, that's a good thing to say. Let's go to Douglas in Washington, listening on 100.7 FM. Glad to have you, Douglas. Go ahead with your question for Jimmy.
Yeah, hi. I am a disillusioned Protestant. Was part of a church staff minister. Our church split up, and we split from the church, my wife and I. She was also on staff. My question is, I am interested. I've been listening to you guys for a couple of years now, and I'm really interested. As most people, I've gone to the Orthodox church nearby. Like it, but still not happy. So my question is twofold. Number one, I'm not sure that I haven't even talked to my wife about this, except to say that I'm interested.
Okay.
She's really not interested at all. So two questions.
Okay.
One is if I were to die now, would I go to hell for not being Catholic?
Okay. And the other?
The other question is about annulments. Do you have to pay for annulments? My wife's husband is dead. My ex-wife is still alive, I think, but I haven't seen her in 30 years. And we were married for just a couple of years when we were kids.
Okay,
that's my question.
Yeah, okay, Douglas, thank you.
So let's deal with the second question first. The procedures regarding annulments do sometimes involve a requested fee in order to help, because you have canon lawyers and judges who need to examine the case. And no diocese that I am aware of makes a profit on that, but they do try to frequently they try to defray the costs that they need to pay their experts in order to look at these cases. And so there is often a requested fee in order to process an annulment. But there are provisions made for hardship cases, and if someone cannot afford one, then the situation can be addressed. So I would not let that at all deter me. There are ways to work through that, and some dioceses don't even charge at all. So it depends on the local situation, but in every situation, if someone has a marital situation that really needs to be looked at and they're not able to pay, there are ways of dealing with that, and so I wouldn't worry about that. In terms of the first question, I can't give you a definite answer. I can't look at your heart. It sounds to me like you're at a stage where you're interested in becoming Catholic, and that's great. That's speaking from the perspective of a Catholic apologist, that's a sign you're cooperating with God's grace. The fact that you're willing to look into that and you're interested in becoming Catholic and coming into full communion with Christ's church, that is wonderful. That's great. That's a sign that you're cooperating with God's grace, and thus that's a sign that that's positive for your salvation. So, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say, well, it doesn't sound like to me that you're in bad conscience right now, so that's a great thing. I would say that the key thing is focusing on what's true. And this is something that I had to face myself in my own life. I was married, and I'm a widower now, but I was married, and I was an evangelical. I was looking at becoming Catholic or Orthodox, or I didn't know exactly what, but I realized what I need to do is I need to focus on what's true. And whatever's true, that's where I need to go, because I want my life to be in conformity with Christ's will for me and with his revealed truth. And so if it's possible to establish which church is Christ's, and I think it is, then I need to be part of that church. And if there are other people in my family who would like to come along with me, that's great. If they're not interested in coming along with me, well, God can be merciful to them too, and I can still love them. I can still have relationships with them, and I shouldn't let that stop me, because what Christ will hold me accountable for is whether I accepted the truth as he revealed it and as I understood it. So that's my key priority. I want to follow Christ and his truth, and he will arrange for everything else to work out one way or another.
Douglas, thank you very, very much. Appreciate the call. And it's just so encouraging to hear that you are indeed mulling the Catholic faith. Many prayers for you and for blessings on your journey as you consider entering the Catholic Church. I got to let folks know where we are. I think my understanding, if I'm getting the numbers right, is we're $20,000 left on a $35,000 match for this hour, and we got about 20 minutes left, less than 20 minutes now, to ask you for your help. So we are in great need at the moment to meet the match for this hour. Your help very welcome. The number to call, every dollar is matched, dollar for dollar, up to $20,000, because I know we got $20,000 left of a $35,000 match for this hour. There are 5 people on the line right now. There are 17 people here in the building ready to take your call. That means 12 lines open. That means you dial the number now, and 2 minutes from now, you can be done. 888-291-8000. If you can make that $10 one-time gift, it becomes $20 for us. If you can make a $20 one-time gift, it becomes $40 for us. If you can do that monthly, it becomes $20 or $40 to us monthly for the rest of the year, because it's all matched. But maybe you are one of those folks who is particularly blessed, like Mark in South Dakota, who just gave a $200 a month pledge. That's $2,400, all matched dollar for dollar. We're going to need several more of that size if we're going to make it. We've got $20,000 to use up to be fully matched for this hour, and we're going to need everybody who can help us to help. You are much needed right now. The number is 888-291-8000. I want to give a special thank you, because he said we could say this on the air, because I am a huge fan, and my parents are huge fans of Father Wade Menezes over at EWTN. He's a wonderful preacher when he preaches the Mass there, and I just am a big fan of his, and he called and he made a pledge, and we're really grateful for that. I mean, it's all one big happy family, but it really makes you feel good when somebody as wonderful as Father Wade Menezes from EWTN calls and makes a pledge. So I wanted to say thanks, and thanks to everybody who has helped us. We're a long way. We need your help. The number is 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Now, Psych-Hellet, I have heard, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I have heard the current $35,000 match described as an all-or-nothing match. Is that your understanding?
That's what we were told when this gentleman gave us the money, gave us the offer.
So that would mean that in order to receive any benefit from this match, we would need to get the donation amount for this hour up to $35,000. Otherwise, we get nothing. And so that kind of puts things in a bit of a different light. Oftentimes, when we have a matching challenge, if you give $20,000, or if you give $20, it becomes $40 and so forth. And it doesn't matter if we get all the way up to $20,000. But if I understand this correctly, as an all or nothing match, then we need to get to $35,000, or we get nothing of that match. So it is a really serious time. If we're going to benefit from that, we have a little bit of time left in this hour, but we do need to hear from you, and especially if you're able to help us with a larger gift, please give us a call. The number is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. And remember, if you're able to give just $84 a month, that'll add up to $1,000 in the course of a year, and you'll be a member of our President's Club, and you'll be entitled to receive a copy of all the different media we produce during the year, whether it's books, DVDs, CDs, booklets, whatever it may, magazines, whatever it is, you'll be entitled to a free copy of it. And if you're able to donate $417 a month, it will be enough to put you in our Founders Circle, which has benefits above and beyond those that are available in the President's Club. So you don't have to make these larger donations all at once. It's perfectly possible to make them on the installment plan, as they say. So please do give us a call. You can go to you can either go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or give us a call at 888-291-8000. Once again, that number is 888-291-8000.
888-291-8000. I'm going to go back to the phones and let Jimmy answer more questions. But before I do, I feel like I share with you our struggles, and we've been struggling this hour. And our policy is to be honest, to express your need. Well, I don't want to mislead anybody either, and so I want to share the joys and the wonderful surprises that happen as well. So I just told you a few minutes ago, we're $20,000 away from making that match. Well, before I go to the phones, I just want to tell you, Charles in Louisiana, he said I can help. He just picked up the phone and made a $10,375 gift. So, Charles, thank you so much. So I want to share the good news with the bad, and it's just great news, and we're very, very grateful for that. And so we've been saying we're going to need some folks to step up. That's really stepping up. I mean, that's thank you so much, Charles. But I'll tell you what, right next to Charles, a $10 a month donation, and all together we'll get there. We'll get there. But let's go back to the phones and let Jimmy answer another question. Let's go to New Braunfels, Texas. Bo in New Braunfels, Texas, listening on EWTN. You are next. Bo, are you there with us?
Yeah.
Hello, Bo. How old are you?
I'm 9. Thank you for answering my call.
Well, you're very welcome. We're super happy you called. Go ahead with your question for Mr. Aiken.
I was just asking, is St. Nicholas and Santa Claus the same person?
Great.
Well, in a sense, the answer is yes, but not exactly. So let me ask you a question. Do you now? I not only growing up was a big fan of cartoons. I still am a big fan of cartoons. I love animation. Do you ever watch cartoons, Bo?
Kind of.
Okay.
I'm more into action, I'm more into action movies. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so let's think about whatever you may have seen, whether it's a TV show or a movie or a cartoon or a comic book or even just an ordinary book. Have you ever read or watched or listened to a story that had Abraham Lincoln in it?
Half of one. Yeah, I know.
Half of one. Yeah.
Okay.
I know about them. I actually know about them.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times, I got to tell you, Bo, the ones with Abraham Lincoln, I can only get halfway through them too. So, but you know about the Abraham Lincoln, so.
So there are lots of cartoons that have Abraham Lincoln. There are lots of books. There are novels. There are lots of TV shows and movies that have Abraham Lincoln in them. And there was a real historical person who was Abraham Lincoln. And so when you see him in a movie or a TV show or a book, it's based on a real person, but it's not exactly the same as the real person. For example, a few years ago, there was something that came out called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. And it was based on the real Abraham Lincoln, but it also made him a vampire hunter. And, it's pretty cool, but also kind of scary to be a vampire hunter. But that's not exactly what the real Abraham Lincoln was like. And so we have to keep separate the real historical person from the way he can be shown in books and movies and legends and things like that. And that's essentially what happens with St. Nicholas and Santa Claus. St. Nicholas was a real bishop who lived in Turkey, the modern nation of Turkey. He lived back in the AD 300s. So like 1,700 years ago, he was a real bishop in Turkey, and he had a reputation for being generous. But then over the course of time, people told stories and legends and added on things to St. Nicholas, like he's got reindeer and a sleigh and he flies all over the world and he gives gifts to all of the good children and stuff. And that's an exaggeration. He wasn't really like that, just like Abraham Lincoln wasn't really a vampire hunter. But Abraham Lincoln was a real person and St. Nicholas was a real person. So in both cases, you have a real historical person who then people kind of used their imaginations to make pretend versions of later.
Bo, thank you. You speak so clearly and well. Your parents must be very, very proud of you, and you are welcome to call here anytime. And Jimmy, I am ashamed to say, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, I did make it all the way to the end of that one. I didn't just watch it.
Of course, it's got vampire hunting in
I know
that.
that one I could watch. The Steven Spielberg one, about halfway through. I'm with Bo on that one. The number, again, to make your pledge, let me tell you where we are. We're about $5,000 away with a few minutes left here from meeting our match for the hour. We're still a long way away from being fully funded. We haven't spoken about that too much of it, but we're a ways away from that. But we need your help. Let's do this $5,000. We'll leave the rest in the hands of God. But if you can help us make that, use up this $35,000 match. Any gift will help. It's all matched. Oh no, it says $5,682 left to go. So that just trying to be honest with you. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. 14 of our colleagues are just waiting by the phone right now. So 14 lines open. Perfect time to call. Just a few minutes left. This is our last day of the pledge drive. We've got a $35,000 match and more than $5,000 to go with just a few minutes left. 888-291-8000.
So, Psych Hellet, I'm optimistic here because if we only need to make between $5,000 and $6,000 in the next 13 minutes, we actually have, for once, more minutes left than we do thousands of dollars we need to make.
Yeah.
And so if people are generous, we can actually get to this goal. We don't want to, if I've been informed correctly, this $35,000 match is an all or nothing one.
Yeah.
So partial does not count. We really need to get to that 35,000 figure if we're going to benefit from this at all. And so please do help us get there. We do have the time. We've got the lines open for you right now. We have currently 10 employees who are just sitting there waiting to take your call. And we do have the time to make up that difference and make that additional $5,682 if you call us right now. The number is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000, and you can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
I'll tell you what, if you're listening later after the show, you're listening to the podcast later, we're still going to need your help. And I'll just throw this out there. Even if we make this match and we've got more than 5,000 to go, we will be 50,000 short for the entire pledge drive. So I just want you, if you're listening later, because you listen later on the podcast, and you can just go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, make your pledge there, and you'll get us closer to being fully funded. This is a long way to go.
And that's not just today. It's over the rest of the course of the week and so forth. And also, some people watch us on video afterwards rather than a podcast. So whether it's podcast or video, if you're listening to us after the fact, even if it's a number of days from now or a week or whatever, you can still participate. The number to call, the website to go to will be CatholicAnswersRadio.com, and you will get those different thank you gifts that are part of the current drive.
888-291-8000 is the number right now. Just a few more minutes. And those folks who are answering the phones, our colleagues and whatnot, they will stay sitting at their desk after the top of the hour. As long as the phones are ringing, they'll stay there. So you got time, but there's 4 lines open. Well, now 3 lines open right now to get in there. We were $5,600 away from getting a $35,000 match, and just a few minutes left in the program. You want to try another question, Jimmy? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
You think you can do it? All right, let's go to Andrew here in California watching on YouTube. Andrew, thank you for your call. Try to be a bit quick if you could with your question for Jimmy.
All right. Hello.
Hello. Go ahead, Andrew.
What is the Catholic teaching on race, on like Black History Month, that sort of stuff?
Okay. Catholic.
Well, Black History Month is something that is a cultural phenomenon here in the United States. It's not something that's done worldwide. And so as a result, the Catholic Church doesn't really have a teaching on Black History Month or other particular celebrations like that. What the Catholic Church does have a teaching on is the subject of race. And the Catholic Church's teaching on race is we're all human. There's one human race. God loves all of us. And the color of your skin doesn't matter any more to God than the color of your hair or the color of your eyes, which is to say, God loves everybody equally, no matter what genetic background they have. God made us so that we all share a fundamental human nature, and He made us so that we aren't all clones. We're not all identical, and so there are differences between people, and those are something to celebrate. So everyone, no matter what people they come from in the world, every people has great aspects, and those are something to be celebrated. So everyone can be proud of their heritage, whether it comes from a particular place in the world or whether it's a mixed heritage. Everyone can take pride in all of the good things that God has built into them and their communities and the broader human community, because the truth is there's one human race. God loves all of us, and we are all precious in His heart.
Thank you. Thanks very, very much for that question. Very much appreciate it, Andrew. And call back whenever you like. We're in the last couple minutes now of our last pledge drive of 2021. It's been an extraordinary year. We're very grateful for all the support. And we are now, as we head into these last few minutes, several $1,000s away from meeting our match for the hour. Colleen in San Antonio just joined the President's Club at $84 a month. Maybe you can too. There are lines open if you'd like to call, 888-291-8000. It's now just minutes to, and those minutes are winding down to be fully funded. So again, you can also go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
And even though the minutes are winding down, we are closing in. We are now less than $2,500 away from meeting our $35,000 matching challenge. Like we said, it is an all or nothing challenge, so we do need to get to that $35,000 in order to benefit from it. I can see it's now just dropped to $1,600, so we are achingly close to being able to benefit from that match. We do need to hear from you. We do have some lines open, and even if the phones happen to be full when you call, which at the moment they're not, we've got 4 agents, 4 employees ready to take your call. You can always go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And as you were saying, we will need people to be doing that even after this hour, because we need to get to that fully funded level of $225,000 for the next 4 months. And so please, if you're listening to us from elsewhere in the world, you can participate. If you're listening to us delayed, you can participate. Even if it's days or a week or two later, just go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and you can donate safely and securely, whether it's from your computer, from your tablet, or from your phone. Anywhere in the world, it all works. The website to go to is CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And if you're listening now or up through a few minutes after the hour, our employees who are right here in the building with us will stay and take your call as long as the phones are ringing. The number to call is 888-291-8000. Once again, it's 888-291-8000. And because we don't have enough time to take any more questions this hour, we're very close to the end. This is the perfect time to call. So help us out. Help us get that $35,000 matching challenge. Don't let it stay there on the floor. 888-291-8000.
Also, I just want to make one last appeal. If you are listening later, if you're not listening now, we will end this pledge drive about $48,000 to $50,000 short of being fully funded. That is a number we can make up. And we have lots of good friends who help us do it. If you are one of those friends, if you're listening later around the world or maybe here in the United States, don't forget that CatholicAnswersRadio.com, this pledge drive at CatholicAnswersRadio.com will continue through the weekend. So if you're listening on the weekend, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. If you're listening right now, you can also use CatholicAnswersRadio.com or 888-291-8000.